my gosh, black people, wow, let's take pictures with you. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Reni. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. So on my channel, I do lifestyle, fashion, and finance, and much more. And today we're gonna dive into a certain part of my lifestyle that is travel. I love to travel. I've been to over 30 countries in the world, and it's something that's very important to me. I know that during coronavirus, we can't really travel, but I thought it would be great to relive some of the moments of my travel. So I'm that annoying girl who went on exchange 3 years ago and still talks about it all the time. Oh, exchange changed my life. Oh, I'm a different person because of exchange. Yeah, that's me. I lived in Thailand for 5 months back in 2017, and I still think about it all the time. I loved my time there. Whenever I tell someone about living in Thailand, they always ask me, oh, so how was it like being a black person in Asia? So I'm just going to outline a few things that you can expect if you are black in Asia. I do recognize that there's a lot of anti-blackness in Asia. It's in the roots of, it's in the fabric of many cultures. However, especially in China, it's very heightened. I personally have not been to China and I can't speak on the experience there, but I know that lots of our African brothers and sisters are being persecuted there, and this is awful. I do not condone it at all. China is actually one of the countries that I do not want to visit simply because of this. But I'm gonna be, my experiences come from my time living in Thailand and visiting Myanmar, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, and Korea. So yeah, that's just some context behind my videos. So let's start with something a little positive. One thing that you can expect when you're black in Asia is for people to want to speak to you just because you speak English. If you are a black person that speaks English, they will want to speak to you just to practice their English. Well, it's kind of awkward. For example, when I went to Vietnam, I was sitting around a lake just watching, just because it was a solo trip, I was alone, and a Vietnamese girl came up to me and sat beside me and started speaking to me. She was trying to practice her English, and I was also trying to practice some Vietnamese. But she didn't want to speak Vietnamese at all. She only wanted to speak English so that she could practice. So that's something that you'll probably face. It's not a bad thing, of course, but yeah. And then also when I was in Vietnam, they also have free walking tours if you speak English. So it's students who are in university trying to practice their English, and they'll give you a free walking tour of Hanoi, Vietnam, if you speak English to them.
One day when Lilac King came here, a magical turtle appeared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
in the water?
Yeah, also.
Oh my god.
Because it's crispy.
Okay, what about this cat?
Cat?
Is that not for eating, right?
But some people here still eat cat.
Oh.
Sorry.
Also, I experienced this in Thailand as well. In Thailand, I went to a university called Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, and there a lot of the students wanted to speak to me in English, even though they're fluent in Thai, of course. And I wanted to practice Thai and learn how to speak Thai so badly. Chai Pun Thai Dine Noi. But they always wanted to speak English. I have made some great friends while I was there, so it was definitely an amazing thing. But yeah, you're gonna have to speak English a lot. That's good for people who feel uncomfortable learning new languages as well. The next thing that you should expect when you're black in Asia is for people to call you names. And I'm not talking about derogatory names. I'm talking about someone calling you Michelle Obama, or someone calling you Beyonce or Nicki Minaj. It's like, thanks for the compliment, but I don't look like Beyonce. So the next thing that I faced, and that you may face when you are black in Asia, is people being scared of you or just confused by you. So I face this a lot, and I would say it's especially with children. So with children, they look at you and they're like, what's that? Like, why is her skin like that? Why is her skin so dark? They're just very confused because I guess they don't see black people very often. But while I was in Vietnam especially, and Myanmar, it happened quite a bit. Even though their skin is pretty dark sometimes, so I didn't really understand. But people were looking at me like, oh, what's that? Some children will even cry when they see you, which is really sad, but they're just kind of like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I've never seen this person before. I have an experience that when I was in Vietnam, Vietnam, I was on a free walking tour, and people were zipping by on motorcycles because a lot of people are on motorcycles all the time there. And this guy was just driving like this. He was just driving past, and he suddenly looks at me. He stops, gets off, or he starts driving really slowly, gets off of his bike, and starts walking towards me. And obviously I was on a solo trip. I was like, oh, okay. So I stepped back because I didn't want him to touch me, because obviously I don't want some random man touching me. And he tried to reach for me, and I said, no. And he started speaking to me in Vietnamese. I do not speak Vietnamese, so my tour guide was translating, and she said, oh, he's just asking you if your skin is painted on or if it's real. What?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What? I know they've seen black people because I saw quite a few black people as I was traveling, and I've seen they have posters from Adidas, for example, where Beyonce would be on the billboard. So I just didn't understand. I was like, why? And she said it like it was such a normal thing, like, oh, he's just asking if your skin's real or if it's painted on. No big deal. So that was an experience. They're just very confused by your whole, like, everything about you. Another thing, and I understand colonialism and that these cultures have their standard of beauty is still whiteness, like they still aspire to Eurocentric standards of beauty. But I still couldn't wrap my head around it. It's similar in Nigeria as well. But one thing you will see is bleaching products. Everything you can think of can have bleach in it. And it's really concerning. So for example, when I needed to go to the store and I wanted to get new lotion, for example, I would have to make sure that it didn't have bleaching products in it. I even went on a plane once, and the whole plane was plastered with bleaching advertisements. Even the big brands like Nivea or Vaseline, they still have those bleaching products there. So you can't even trust those huge brands to not have bleaching products. Problematic, but what can we do? The next thing I would say is people will think you're so beautiful. Well, some people. A lot of people will think you're very beautiful and you'll be complimented all the time, which is always nice and good for your ego. Especially in Myanmar, people were always going, mwah, mwah. Beautiful, beautiful. Hello. And in Thailand, people would say, swoi ma, which means beautiful. And they would also want to touch your hair and be so fascinated by your hair, especially if it's in braids.
She likes your hair.
Okay.
How many hours did it take?
4. People touch our hair in Canada too, or try to touch our hair, so it's nothing new, but I see it as they're coming from a place of curiosity, but I still don't want you to touch my hair. Sorry, not sorry. Lastly, and I'm sure many of you have heard this if you're considering going to Asia as a black person, people will ask you to take photos with them, or they'll just take photos of you. And honestly, at first, I was like, oh, I'm like a celebrity. Like, no big deal. Like, oh, you want to take a photo of me? Sure. And then after a while, it was like, okay, there would be a lineup of people just waiting to take photos with me. And it's kind of like, where are these photos going? What are you doing with them? Why do you need them? Yeah, I was very uncomfortable with it after a while, and I would start saying no. And the thing that I did not like is that when I started saying no, people would just take them regardless. So this is an example of when I was in Thailand, just minding my business, and boom, someone decides to take a photo of me without my permission. Especially when you're on the beach and you're wearing a swimsuit, you don't want random people taking photos with you. Who knows where those photos are ending up? So that was a problem that I faced. Even Chinese, especially with Chinese tourists who would come to Thailand, like Thai people didn't really care. I didn't really face much curiosity from the Thai people because they have there are so many tourists that come there every year. But from Chinese tourists in Thailand, oh my gosh, the amount of photos I took, especially when my parents came to visit and they saw a whole family of black people, it was like, oh my gosh, black people, wow, let's take pictures with you. And the same thing I faced was with Russians. There are a lot of Russians in Thailand, and they also wanted to take photos of me. I don't know why. I don't understand. I hope you enjoyed this video about my time living in Thailand. I really had a great time there, and I thought I was a YouTuber back then, so I was recording vlogs while I was there, so I can even post some vlogs about my time in exchange at my school in Thailand, or even the different countries that I visited while I was there. I want to say rest in peace to George Floyd, rest in peace to Regis, rest in peace to every single Black life that we have lost. I hope that by the time I post this video, there will not be another one that we're having to commemorate. I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!